granddaughters and a slew of grandmothers and grandfathers, and I'm from the Nanny Helen Burroughs Project. And because I'm from the Nanny Helen Burroughs Project, I'm a womanist. And Mr. Prime, I thank you for making that explicit clarity about the womb is connected to the throne of Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And I think that's to Manal. I'm thankful when you started off, we are never outnumbered, we are out-organized. And I'm saying this because if you see what I have on my head, it just happened to be a visualization of Manal. Actually, she's on the right, if you look at the picture. And actually, Haile Selassie, which married up. And I was listening to Sister Pam when you were talking about the four. And I think about the 4 chambers of the heart. I think about the 12 cranial nerves. I think about the so-called 22nd letter of the Greek alphabet, which is Christ. I think about the 4, which is for Ma'at. And since my daughters and my granddaughters were not able to be here today, I am so thankful that I had the opportunity, because I consider it, I'm trying to think of the word, in some language they call it a Kairos moment. In another language, it may be called a moment of Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. But what's the beautiful thing about it is that I hope, not that you are not doing this already, because I know you are, but these kinds of interactions can spread to some of these, what do you call it, daycare centers, as well as some of those people on those college campuses. And as I take my seat, you have shared with me that it's far easier to train up children than to prepare adults. That's a paraphrase that's attributed to Frederick Douglass, but I guarantee you, when you look into it, he got it from a nurturing. And the question that I was asking, maybe it was answered earlier, at what point in the narrative did we begin to make a 45-degree, a 90-degree, an 80-degree from that which is the balance? Because we have to be very careful. Because I love what you said. Just because you're pro-women, you're not anti-whatever. Because you're not anti, you're just pro.
Right.
Share that with me. That's when we start to make that turn away from the balance.
If you ask me, I mean, for African Americans, we got.
No. This is what I do. This is what I do. Charity always begins in your backyard. But because we live here in a world, but you always take care of your backyard. Even though, and the wisdom from our backyard, when it is in the truth, it is an applicability anywhere in the world for those who want to practice it.
I mean, again, I think it ties into the same thing. You're absolutely right. You know, it could be, you know, when I talk about the vote, that is a symptom of a larger problem. Colonization, right? Those who are seeking more power and control than they have earned, that they have right to. And so, with that, people have an invested interest in our division. And especially the separation of the man from the woman. Because as long as they are together in understanding that balance and harmony, it reduces a lot of need. And as long as there is sickness and disease and need, then they get to pretend to be the savior in selling you back, you know, the solutions to problems you didn't have from the beginning. And so, again, it goes back to that colonization, we'll call it.
And I would say part of that was the separation that was created between us and the land, right? I mean, when you look at the connection that humans have, like, again, we're part of a larger social fabric, and when we started getting moved away from Earth, and we started getting moved away from the land, and I mean, like, think about how we live today. Like, we don't even know the food we consume. We don't. All of that created and enhanced that separation. And when I talk about the, you know, global war on women and the global war on feminine, we're not the only targets. For the divine masculine to exist, it must hold the divine feminine. And so when you suppress that divine feminine, you're actually cutting off men from their divinity and their divine masculine. And so it's a way of complete control, but you know. And I mean, war really, really shows this. To control societies, control women. And so it's not just targeting women for women's sake because we're the easier target, or, you know, the military calls women soft targets and stuff. It's not just that. It really is an understanding that if you want to have global control, if you want to do exactly what you said so eloquently, they're creating problems and then selling us the solutions for the problems they created, then disconnect that yin and yang, and that, I love the way you described it in Islamic terms, like you disconnect that. And I think I really do believe that this is the age of women, just like Islam was spread through the power of women. This is the time where the Ummah really needs us to come back, not to then overpower men,
Right.
but to create that balance again, to bring us together. And I really believe it's beyond the Ummah. This is what the world is screaming out for, the type of extremism that exists today. And everyone talks about ISIS and Boko Haram, but people don't talk about Burma. They don't talk, I mean, if Buddhist scripture can be twisted into violence, no scripture is safe. People don't talk about the Central African Republic, where Christian militias are pushing Muslim families out, and then they open bars in the homes and they slaughter pigs to ensure they can't return. And so, you know, the violent extremism with a religious tone is really calling for healing. And I tend to believe that just like human nature, you know, you tend to, everyone knows, you know, when we have that we get attracted to that bad friend or that bad relationship, it's trying to heal. It's trauma that's trying to heal. And I believe that the world is now calling out for healing of our past. North Dakota, Black Lives Matter, is America's chance to heal its past. The patterns will repeat itself. Islamophobia is just another form of fascism. It's all being called out where people are saying we need healing. And I think that that's where the women will step forward and say, you know what, we're going to heal, but we're going to heal as one. We're not going to heal separately. We're going to heal as one. And I think that that's what we're beginning to witness today.
I also think there's all of this, in terms of my personal faith perspective, is a divine test, right? You're told what we're supposed to aspire to. You're shown it during the prophet's life and what he's trying to establish. And then as we slide back, how hard will the Ummah, how hard will the world work to bring it back to the mores we started with, the baselines? Or will we continue to slide and let it distort and continue to be more focused on the I, the me, more limited aspects, even though we're living in a world of abundance? If we default to hoarding about my rights, and not rights, but I guess what's in it for me, and how can I control others rather than how can we restore balance? To me, that defaults to a divine test for all of us. Anyone else?
My name's Nathan Farmer from East Tennessee, and there's a group of us from ETSU, which is a university in East Tennessee.
I'm going to Nashville on Wednesday.
We're actually, this is our spring break, and we're here all this week in the Capitol studying religious plurality. And just so this morning we went to a service at the National Cathedral, and we're visiting some Jewish centers, and we, you know, but even within our group we have individuals of the Muslim faith, Hindu, Christian, some people who don't consider themselves spiritual at all. So a lot of these topics that you all brought up, whether it be Islamophobia or the war on the feminine or women's rights or health care, their bodies, that sort of thing. What role do you think people of faith from all backgrounds have in supporting these causes, especially when it comes in terms of Muslim women?
So So, I hope you'll take the time, I'm gonna self-promote a little bit because it just answers your thing. I wrote an article for Newsday where I was saying that, what we need is more religion in the public sphere, not less. And it's not just Islamic religion, but what we've done is by the secular model of forfeiting religious teachings in the public education system, right? Both the saying that you said in the emphasis on education, what we've done is we've forfeited to the extremists. And the extremists, again, it's not only the form of ISIS, but the extremists that exist here. They've stepped in and they've claimed religion in ways that the majority don't understand and don't comprehend. And so suddenly, the only people who are speaking religiously, all the alt-right and ISIS, right? They're the loud ones. And for me, they mirror, I grew up in South Carolina, and I always joke, I'm like, I don't know if it's the Salafi in me or the Puritan in me that's coming out, right? Because some of them, they sound so similar to me, you know? Like, when I start to listen to things, and particularly when you talk about women's issues, I'm like, this extreme model mirrors itself, right? Just like I believe the divine messaging starts to mirror itself. So I think that that's really where people of faith have to step in, is to actually say, I keep saying, have faith in your faith, right? If you really are a person of faith, there's no question that's off the table. And we really have to start asking and questioning and learning. And I'd like to see it in our public schools more. I'd like to see faith taught in a much more, and taught, like you said, with our narratives. I mean, you know, we all learn about certain religion, but like it's a very surface, and it's a very almost stereotypical, one-dimensional form of religion. Like we're almost ashamed to speak of spirit and spirituality, and you know that is who we are. And so I think that's what people of faith can do, is really, you know, not only want to be seen but see others. And to encourage for us not to just I mean, I do believe in separation of church and state in terms of the political, but in terms of the educational, in terms of what we're giving our youth and what we're giving our children, it has to be part of our curriculums, it has to be part of our process, like our public systems.
I mean, I think to keep doing what you're doing. I mean, the fact that you're coming together, you know, as different faiths and different backgrounds, and choosing to educate yourselves in different, you know, areas and within different traditions, and being in that space, right? Not just wanting someone else to kind of talk to you about that experience that doesn't belong to that experience, right? So that you get an authentic voice. I think that's key. You know, I think that's, you know, you can, when somebody starts to talk about, for example, well, Muslim women are really oppressed, for you to say, no, well, actually, I sat in front of 3 Muslim women, and I'm pretty willing to say, I don't know, I don't remember that being, you know, part of my experience. So I say that to say it is important that, you know, you keep listening to that authentic voice and just keep coming together on the common truths that bind you, and keep calling other people to it. It spreads.
And I think as Sister Ieasha was mentioning, I think what it touches on is disrupting narratives that are there for some other agenda. So in this country, I think a narrative that is fanned often is Muslims hate Jews, Jews hate Muslims. In the news, you see there's a lot of support between the two communities. That's not new. It's just not new. And in the Quran,
It's just not news.
right, and it's also like in the Quran, we're supposed to defend Christian, Jewish houses of worship, right? We're supposed to. That is our religious calling. But it's news. Why? Because there's a prevalent narrative of religious people of faith don't get along with each other. So faith is this backwards, very uneducated kind of thing that makes people dumb, right? And once you can do a lot more interfaith and interfaith, I'm from the Shia sect, right? So I'm always very conscious of narratives that may exclude me. And I'll force my way in, right?
I'll go your way.
Right, but what's very important is when you show that I'm very proud and very cognizant of being Shia, but that doesn't make me less Muslim, right? Not sort of, cutting off your nose to spite your face,
Yeah.
right? In the same way, when different communities of faith transcend these narratives of hate and division and show, no, we actually know scripturally as well, we have a lot in common. And at the core, it's a respect for human beings and trying to make the world better, right? That is the core of most things. And that I have often said, doing a lot of interfaith work, there are times when I bond more closely with a Jewish woman that's observant than I do perhaps with a Muslim woman who's not as practicing. Because my you know, it's that leaps of faith into faith, right? And that's a commonality. So I think there's a lot of strength because again, once you can disrupt narratives trying to disempower you, it's a good thing.
Again, they're trying to disconnect you to create imbalance and disease and sickness so they can sell you the solution.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're so cynical now.
I have a question. When we are talking about women empowerment and leadership, how do you think like the Muslim community themselves are not letting their daughters to become role models like you, to become advocates of right and activism like you? Or how important is that the Muslim community challenge themselves, because it's a male-dominated kind of thing, and then challenge the rest of the world to let the females express themselves and become someone like you, because